The Living Your Best Life Experiment, Week 27, Chapter 3, The Question. This week's chapter starts out asking you to ask yourself, why? Why is my life like this? Asking why the things that you've done have made no difference to the point where you want to get. Why are you still stuck in a place where you're not content to be? And then he asks you to take a look at where you're heading. Where are you going on this path? Where is this going to lead? How is your life going to look down the road if you continue doing the same things that you're doing? He says that you have to be able to see what the problem is before you can actually do anything about it. Because a lot of the times the problems we create for ourselves are things that we do subconsciously without even realizing that we're doing it. If we take a look at our past, a lot of times you'll notice you have a reoccurring pattern of growth and backsliding, and really asking yourself, why am I building this just to burn it down? Why am I doing that? And then he talks about using generic terms to describe deeper issues, stuff like procrastination, or, I just need some self-discipline. I need to have better willpower, stuff like that. Generic terms that are just a descriptor. Because when we're just labeling what the issue is in general terms, it doesn't actually give you change. It doesn't give you an action to associate with it. It just puts a label on what the issue is. He says that self-discipline is nothing but action when you don't feel like it. So the generic label of I just need more self-discipline is basically just doing what you don't feel like doing when it needs to be done. And then he goes on to say that general terms describe an action and that they don't define you. If you say that you are a procrastinator, that is defining yourself. But if you say I'm a person who procrastinates sometimes, it's describing the actions that you are doing and not who you are. And it goes on to talk about how you need to understand that for big changes and for growth, that it's going to be uncomfortable. And a lot of people think that if it's the right thing to do, then it should be easy and comfortable. But if you're changing what you're doing on a subconscious level, that's going to be uncomfortable. And subconsciously, you're going to be fine. And ultimately, it just ends up leading to this yo-yo effect of back and forth, build and burn. Because you want to change, so you try the change, it's uncomfortable, and then you revert back to your old habits because that's more comfortable for you. And you end up getting this yo-yo effect back and forth. And then he poses the question of, what if life is just a subconscious game of set them up and knock them down? What if this is what life is, building, burning, setting things up, knocking them down? What if that's what life is? And he says, for a lot of people, that is what life is, because our subconscious always wins. And what he means by the subconscious always wins is that we're all predictors. Our subconscious keeps tallies of things that went good, things that went bad, and subconsciously, we're always deciding, how things are going to go based upon those predictors. Who we date, how our Mondays are going to look, because we predict how that's going to go. But when you predict how something will go, you automatically rule it out subconsciously. So if you predict that something's not going to go well, the chances of you actually carrying through with it decrease. Subconsciously, we want to be safe and survive. So when we fall into routines and everything is the same, it tends to be safe. I find that this one holds true for myself with my anxiety. I create routines to give me structure, to create predictable effects so that I feel safe. In that sense, it helps me cope with my anxiety. It gives me a safe space to be able to evaluate and rein in that aspect of my life. But here's the kicker. Humans also want excitement, adventure, and passion. And that's usually where people find themselves at that crossroads, or, what people describe as a midlife crisis, or, you want change, you crave change, but you're still stuck in wanting to be safe. And then he says, underneath everything is the want to survive. And the way that our subconscious does that is to keep things safe and predictable, because it increases your odds of survival. And then he asks you to take a look at your life and what are you left with. If you take away all the ups, the downs, all the drama, all the excitement, if you strip everything down to its basics, what are you left with? Then he says you need to really stop and take a look and find patterns of what you're doing, because this is a pattern of the things that you're doing in your life to create your life. And then he just ends on the note that if you want something new and different that isn't your safe place, then you need to be willing to feel uncomfortable and overwhelmed and be willing to take the risks to get there. Overall, this chapter, I think, if you actually engage with the questions and dig deeper, is a very useful tool. Understanding why you're doing things is a big key to being able to change them. So that's something I shall ponder on a lot more this week, and I hope everybody else has a good week too. Until next week, bye.